This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Roberto on the Digital Sports Center presented by Montana's Barbecue and Bar. And the book is closed in the NFL regular season, which is great news for all the teams that made the playoffs, but bad news for the head coach of a team that did not live up to expectations. That's right, it's the ever-dreaded Black Monday. This morning, the Jags announced they fired head coach Doug Pederson, who'd won a Super Bowl in Philly but couldn't quite get it done in Jacksonville. He went 4-13 this season after a pair of 9 and 8 years. So we'll see if that fixes Trevor Lawrence. Meanwhile, Giants head coach Brian Daboll will be keeping his job. The team released a statement this morning saying he's safe, despite just 18 wins in 3 seasons. And of course, the Pats got an early start yesterday, firing Jared Mayo just an hour after their win over the Bills, one that cost them the top pick of the draft. So Mayo spent less than a calendar year in the big seat, after succeeding Bill Belichick, who was there for 24 years. And this job might be more desired than you think. After all, the Pats still pick 4th this April, plus have an apparent franchise QB and a ton of money under the cap. So, Mike Vrabel, anyone? New England will have plenty of competition, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter.
He's fully expected to be a candidate for this job. He obviously has a history with that organization, with ownership in that group. Of course, he will be a strong candidate for that job, but they've never been through a head coaching search, the Crafts. And so this is their time, I think, to go around and talk to other people and hear other ideas. And of course, at some point in time, that search is going to bring them to Mike Vrabel, who will be a favorite for this job. But Mike Vrabel also is going to have interest from virtually every single team that has an opening. He's already interviewed with the New York Jets. He's going to talk to the Chicago Bears. The New Orleans Saints are interested. Everybody is interested in Mike Vrabel.
So it's safe to say things are just starting to heat up. But no need to get too far ahead of ourselves because we've got plenty of playoff action ahead. And we'll have more on that a little later in the show. It's a light night in the NHL and we're basically at the half point of the season. So let's look at where we stand with the biggest awards, starting with the Rocket. Right now, Leon Draisaitl leads with 29 goals, which is 6 more than the 5 players tied for second. Draisaitl's won the Hart and Art Ross before, but never the Rocket. Despite having 5 40-goal seasons, he has scored 12 times in his last 14 games. And he's a big reason why the Oilers climbed to 3rd in the Pacific. Now, does this season warrant another Hart Trophy? It could, but he's not alone in that discussion. Draisaitl is 2nd in points behind reigning winner Nathan MacKinnon. And Connor Hellebuyck is taking a claim as well, looking to become the first goalie since Carey Price to win MVP. Of course, that would likely come with the Vezina, which would be Hellebuyck's 3rd already. And finally, Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes are battling for the Norris, with Makar leading all D-men in goals and points, but Hughes is not far behind. I'm kind of sad to not have mentioned Austin Matthews this whole time, so I'm just going to say the words, Austin Matthews. Back to football, and as we mentioned off the top of the show, the playoff field is set. And yesterday was a rather anticlimactic final day. The Broncos and Bucks did punch their tickets, and Jahmyr Gibbs single-handedly carried the Lions to the top seed in the NFC. Nonetheless, we were ready to go with 5 games on Super Wildcard Weekend. Now, KC and Detroit are already through to the divisionals with their first-round byes. And according to FanDuel, Dan Campbell's team has the best odds to win the whole thing.
It's a hell of a win, man. Back-to-back seat. What we've done is not easy. It's not easy. But I'm telling you what, man, we've said it all along. We got a special group, man. And this has been coming a long time. That's a lot of hard work. And we are the #1 seed with a bye, gentlemen. Great job.
See, that's the kind of guy you would run through a wall for. But first, there is plenty of intrigue to look forward to this weekend, including Sunday's meeting between the Broncos and Bills at Highmark Stadium. Now, if you're Buffalo, you cannot help but think about Patrick Mahomes looming. But first, they've got to get through Bo Nix in Denver. And what can we expect from the MVP frontrunner this time around? Well, if the pass is any indication, Josh Allen should be great in the playoffs. In 10 career starts, he's thrown 21 TDs with just 4 interceptions, with 5 rushing touchdowns added in for good measure. But like every year, the Bills won't be judged by what they do wildcard weekend. And if the Broncos or Chiefs don't have a say in things, you can bet Lamar and the Ravens might. CTV and TSN have the entire NFL playoffs, including Sunday's game between the Broncos and Bills. Coverage for that one begins at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. To basketball, and the Raptors are back in action tonight when they host the Bucks in Toronto. And this is actually a groundbreaking night, because for the first time this season, the Raps will have Scotty, RJ, and IQ all on the court at the same time. Joined now by our Raptors reporter Josh Lewenberg. Josh, how's it going?
Hey, Marissa.
Now, Josh, it's a new chapter to the Raps season, one that Raps fans have been looking forward to since opening night. So in a year where wins and losses don't really matter, what would be considered a success at this point forward?
Well, up until this recent string of blowouts, I think we were seeing what a successful season looks like for this team. They were losing games, which is probably for the best for the long-term health of this organization, but they were doing it in a way that was competitive and entertaining while getting valuable late-game reps, and we were seeing some major strides from the young players. So if they can get back to doing that while now finally getting a look at what this full core is capable of, allowing guys like Barrett, Barnes, and Quickly to build chemistry, I think that would be deemed a success for this group.
Barnes had his best game so far of the season against the Nets when IQ returned. How much of an impact is it for him and RJ to have another playmaker on the floor?
Yeah, it's huge. A lot of guys stand to benefit from IQ being back, but none more than Barnes and Barrett. It just really takes the pressure off of those guys. They were asked to be primary playmakers while Quickly was out, and they're capable of it, but I think it detracted from some of the other things they do well. For Barnes, attacking, getting to the rim, scoring in the low block. For Barrett, cutting and slashing. Now they can do those things more often and have an easier time doing it. They don't have to work as hard for their opportunities. I think life for them is going to be a whole lot easier with IQ out there.
Thanks, Josh. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Happy New Year, buddy.
My pleasure, Marissa. Anytime.
You can catch the Bucks and Raptors tonight on TSN. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. That's it for me today. We'll see you right back at tomorrow, 3 Eastern, no Pacific. Have a good one.